I am a 20-year-old American male with, I would say, about the average financial knowledge for someone my age, which is to say, not much. I know not to punt into Robinhood options, and I know not to do a parlay bet on a sports betting site or to really even gamble at all. But outside of that, I'm about as educated as I would say anyone else, and I think the world knows that. My life has turned into what is essentially a constant bombardment from celebrities, from big influencers, from the advertising corporations, from the gods of fate that decide what pre-roll ads I get on my YouTube videos, to what ads play when I'm opening that mobile game before getting my lunch every day. It's a constant bombardment of the same message from the same five or six companies that have basically invaded every single aspect of my life. Companies whose sole purpose is to try and get me to lose everything. I'm not talking about DraftKings, I'm not talking about sports betting. If I was, I would be making a different video because honestly, those are so normalized now that what I'm talking about is just it's so much worse in my mind. It's so much more despicable. It's so much more corrupt, or has the potential to corrupt anyway. Now, what I'm talking about is much simpler. I'm talking about Kalshi. I'm talking about Polymarket. Robinhood has this now too. Basically, anything with a prediction market. And I'm also talking about any buy now, pay later products. I'm talking about Klarna and Affirm. Um, these corporations, and I know I've only listed a few, but it's really these big five that have invaded my life from every single aspect because I'm the target demographic and I know that. And I see it because my friends are also the target demographic. And it hits them hard, it hits me hard, and it's hitting everyone hard, not just in the US, but globally. I mean, these platforms are hugely successful. And I think there's a very clear reason why. But before I break down why, and before I talk about specifically the risks of buy now, pay later, I want to talk a little bit about just what I mean when I say everyone wants me to lose it all. Okay, last Monday, let me just recap my day to you because I kept track. I woke up and I have an app that allows me to take care of these little pets. You feed them like once or twice a day, right? I don't know. It's fun. Don't judge me. Anyway, I opened this app, right? First thing in the morning, literally first thing in the morning, Kalshi ad, AI generated ad, fully AI generated ad in my face. Boom. That's the first ad of the day. Literally to start my day. So I get up, I get ready, I start watching a few YouTube videos, and boom, two more ads. One for Kalshi, one for Affirm, right? Quite literally back to back pre-roll ads on a YouTube video. Throughout the rest of the day, I got two more Kalshi ads on Instagram, one more on Twitter, and I got a Klarna ad while playing my mobile game, waiting for lunch. In total, I got seven ads for services that I would describe as potentially life ruining, at the very least, with the goal of sucking up as much of your money as they can. And that's just on my phone. I didn't count the billboards in my town that promote sports betting. I didn't even count any sports betting ads, of which I got many. Now, like I said earlier, I will talk about why these companies are so bad in a second, specifically the buy now, pay later. But what I want to get across right now is probably the saddest part of the whole thing to me. It's that these ads really, really work. I've seen them work on my friends, on my peers, people in my community. But not only that, they've worked on me. I have the privilege, I would say, of being educated on the risks of these platforms, specifically the platforms like Kalshi and Polymarket. I think there's so much mystification around like what they really are, and even with that knowledge, these ads are really, really, really invasive. I mean, the amount of them that I consume on a daily basis, it's hard not to think about them. And I think that's what's really beating me down is just the sheer quantity of these ads. I mean, it truly feels like all aspects of my life, like the celebrities that I follow, the influencers that I trust, everything is just shoveling these companies and these ads into my life because they know that they have a high likelihood of working, and they slowly are. I'm not saying that I'm betting on Polymarket or Kalshi. In fact, I haven't. I haven't yet, and I don't. I hope I never will, right? Um, but I can't say that I won't. I thought of it like this, right? It would be so easy for me to say, like, yeah, These ads are depressing, and they're hitting me from every angle. Boom, boom, boom. Every source of media I consume, right? But I'm smart, you know. I'm college educated. I read the news. I have finance guides and stuff like that. You know, I know that these platforms are toxic. I know how their business models work. So these ads would never work on me. Like, I'm never going to use these platforms. I know how risky they are. I know that it's just a money loss, right? And so I'm going to get back up, even though they've been landing punches on me all day, every day for the past like 4 months. I'm gonna get up, boom, boom, knockout punch, easy. I'm like Muhammad on the edge of the ring, right? I'm like ducking, 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 boom, boom, boom. Ali, get him up, right? No, wrong. Here's what's actually happening. Yeah, these ads are depressing, and they are hitting me from every angle, every day, always, for the past 4 months. And guess what? I'm not getting up from the edge of the ring. It sucks. I'm getting punched left and right. I'm so sore. I am so tired. Um, when these ads first started popping up, I never considered using these platforms. I knew how toxic they were. I knew I would never use them or even want to use them. But now, after months of inundation of multiple Kalshi ads a day, just begging me to use their platform, I do find myself like standing in line at the grocery store and about to make a purchase over $100, right? And looking at my bank account thinking, man, it would be nice to have a few more bucks to spend. It would be nice to be able to not be stressed about this purchase or the next purchase. These apps claim they have the solution. And obviously, I know it's gambling, but at the same time, the way that these apps present themselves in this marketing, these ads, is so like sinister that it really does get into your mind. And there are times where I'm just standing in line thinking like, man, you know, I'll just download it and do one bet on something I know for sure is gonna happen. It's 100% guaranteed it'll happen. I'll make a couple extra bucks and I'll have a couple extra bucks to spend that week. But that mindset is exactly what would get me onto the platform. And if that first bet was successful, that's the worst case scenario. And I know that, which is the reason I haven't made that bet yet. But I do find myself thinking about it, which is something that at the start, when I first started getting these ads, I didn't even think about. So clearly they're working. And like I said, I have the privilege of being educated about the risks of these platforms. Not everyone does. And I've seen it work on friends, on peers who've downloaded the apps and punted hundreds of dollars, sometimes even thousands, onto just whatever. I mean, everyday things. You can bet on the weather on these apps. It's ridiculous. So that to me is the real problem, is that the ads work. And they're so invasive because of targeted advertising, because of social media, because all of our information is being farmed at all times. They know who is susceptible to these ads, and they just pump their life full of them. That's what I mean by the title of this video. When I say that everyone wants me to lose it all, it's because every single facet of media that I consume in my life is pumping me these ads every day, and it has been for months, and it's showing no signs of letting up. I mean, here, I'm pretty positive that I can just pull up my game on my phone. I play this little game while I wait sometimes. Guarantee it'll give me a Kalshi ad within like a minute of playing the game here. So this game, I'm just gonna die or play until I get an ad, right? Okay, so I just played this game. I died, and then every time you die, it plays you an ad. Yeah, it's a Kalshi ad. I don't know if you guys can see this. I've gotten this ad like 500 times. I could predict the lines. So what's the fastest way to make money on your phone? I don't know. I'm investing wrong. Second guy, I don't know. Third guy, oh, Kalshi, bro. You can just bet on the weather and stuff. It's legal in all 50 states. Whoa, I've seen this. I know, these guys are like my friends at this point. I know these guys. It's crazy. So the main reason I wanted to make this video is because it is a problem. I mean, seriously, it's a problem. Because if these ads are working on me, as someone who self-prescribed, would never gamble, would never waste money, these ads are even getting me to start thinking about downloading these apps. I can't imagine what they would do if I didn't have this education, if I didn't have this background to know just how dangerous these services can be. And I've seen people who don't have that education, my friends, my peers, who don't have the same education, haven't taken the same classes that I have, haven't seen the same studies or read the same articles that I have, using these products and blowing money left and right, going into debt, making purchases they can't buy because of buy now, pay later, and betting with money that they really shouldn't be playing with, tuition money, on student loans, right? These are people with student loans out, and they're making bets on Polymarket on who's going to win the freaking New York mayor race, right? And then when they get that payout, they'll use that to pay their tuition. It'll be way better. Don't worry about it, right? it's ridiculous. To me, it's scary, and it's so normalized. It's becoming normalized. It's really hitting, I think, this turning age of Gen Z hard, and I have no idea how it's going to affect Gen Alpha as they're growing up into this normalized world. I'm sure they're getting these ads too, probably not the same ones because targeted advertising is so content specific, but it's a problem. It's affecting young men primarily. But it's affecting everyone. My girlfriend gets these same ads on her phone, and they're different, obviously, because they're targeted. But it's for the same products. It's for Kalshi. It's for Polymarket. So that's the main reason I wanted to make the video. They're scary. Okay, so let's talk briefly about why this new reality is so bad. I know that it's easy to see the gambling stuff is bad, so I'm not going to go too deep into the Polymarket and Kalshi of things. I think if you haven't figured it out yet, it's just gambling. It's just betting. I know they call it a prediction market, and you're making predictions or whatever, and it's legal in all 50 states, right? Yeah, it's gambling. I mean, it's just a new form of gambling. And it's a really scary one because it promotes insider trading. Obviously, if you know something's going to happen, you can bet that it will, and then you make that money. It promotes corruption in local politics, even sports, anything like that, for people to throw matches or to, rig winners of elections. Not saying that they would, but you personally could drop out of a race if that was a bet. That type of stuff, right? You can make millions doing this. There's Amazon insiders who have seemingly done this already. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to get too deep into that. I think if you haven't figured it out yet, sorry to break it to you, but those platforms are just gambling. It is what it is. And here, I'll even roll this clip from the CEO that I think sounds like the most dystopian thing I've ever heard in my life. And then I'm going to move on, and I want to talk about buy now, pay later.
How many people use Polymarket today?
I mean, there's tens of millions of people who are looking at the odds, and it's mid hundreds of thousands of people who are trading.
But for you, the goal is a billion people.
Yeah.
So will Polymarket reach a billion people in 5 years, yes or no?
It's a great question.
What are the odds on it?
I love it. A billion people is a lot. There's going to be a lot that we have to get right. The thing that drives me is that there are billions of people who could find value in this, which means until those people have Polymarket, are getting value from Polymarket, job's not done.
So yeah, those prediction sites, they suck. But to me, they're not even nearly as sinister as these buy now, pay later, because I think most people can kind of figure out that the prediction markets are just gambling at the end of the day. But when it comes to Klarna and Affirm and any buy now, pay later, right? I don't think most people think of them as loans, which they are. I mean, just as in the same way that prediction markets are gambling, this is just loans. I mean, they're smaller. I would argue riskier, in depending on the context you use them in, right? So I want to just do a little tour of the site here, and I'm going to talk about my opinions about Klarna because it drives me crazy. But I've looked over this site before. This drives me crazy. These like suggested brands that you're supposed to use it on. I'm pretty positive that DoorDash is on here somewhere. Like stuff like Home Depot, Macy's, like Coach. You're buying luxury brands with buy now, pay later. I mean, if you can't afford the luxury brand now, how is buying it and then paying off the full price over time any different than just buying it in the first place, right? Like if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. It's not like a bad thing. It's just the way it is. But I mean, they got it for everything pretty much. And the whole goal of buy now, pay later, and I hate to be the one to break it, is just to get you in debt, basically. I mean, their whole business model is around the idea that eventually people will not be able to pay off the loans they take out. And there's a couple reasons for this, right? They're betting on a few things. They're betting on the fact that you will take out multiple of these loans at once, right? So it might seem like, oh, I've only personally used it to buy the concert tickets, and that was the only thing I bought with it, and I paid it off over time, right? But there are people who, at this point, are using these sites for what's effectively loan stacking, which is a super dangerous practice, And it's something you can really only do through these platforms, where basically you're taking out multiple loans at a time, stacking up the loans, and exponentially increasing the chance that you will not be able to pay all of them off, and eventually you're going to get caught in a debt cycle. So these companies' business models are just purely debt-based, and you don't get to that until you scroll down and read the fine print. So Klarna specifically has a couple different percentages, right? A $1,000 purchase might cost this much per month over 6 months at 13% APR. Rates range from, and this is the despicable part to me, because anytime you make a purchase, it'll say, oh, you can get rates from 0%. But the rates range from 0% to 35% APR based on creditworthiness, term length, and blah, 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 right? 35% APR. Think about think about that. That is an absurd rate. I mean, you're looking at, for an average loan, maybe 13%, around 13%, 35%. That is the fastest way to just get stuck in an infinite debt cycle. And that's where Klarna, Affirm, all these major companies make their money, and I'll show you why. Okay, so I don't often read Vox, but I think this is actually a really good article from Adam Clark Estes here, who talks about the dangers and the current realities that buy now, pay later users are facing. And there's one excerpt in particular that I really want to read to you guys, so I'm going to pull that up. So we're talking about debt, right? How do these companies profit off of your debt? Well, this article, I think, explains it pretty well. So I'm going to just read this verbatim and leave you with this to sit with. All that consumer debt, meanwhile, is becoming a financial product of its own. Elliott Investment Management just made a deal to buy $6.5 billion worth of debt from Klarna as the fintech company expands its business into larger, longer-term loans for consumers. Affirm had sold nearly $12 billion worth of scrutinized debt as of June. In a recent TechCrunch piece, Connie Loizos explained what buy now, pay later companies are doing in bleak terms. Slice up risky consumer debt, sell it to investors who believe they understand the risk profile, and create layers of financial engineering that obscure where the actual exposure lies. So Klarna is selling the debt, right? What does that actually mean for your unresolved debt? It means that Klarna isn't even going to be the company handling it. And while Klarna and all these companies brag that they probably won't affect your credit score, which is partially true, although I've read that they can actually report it to credit agencies, contrary to popular belief. But anyway, when they sell your debt, it increases the chances that your debt is going to be reported to credit agencies and could very possibly affect your credit score, which I don't know if you've thought about it like this, but buying a burrito and having your credit score to go down is just not ideal. Basically, what I'm saying is that buy now, pay later is introducing risk into your life for purchases that should basically have none. Things as simple as groceries, food, essentials, basically. It's an introduction of financial risk and long-term liability that these companies are banking on the fact that you will not be able to pay off and will absolutely just leech your wallet for months or possibly years to come. So that's about all I have to cover in today's video. Yeah, sorry it's so bleak. This is kind of a different type of video than the ones I'd normally be making on this channel. I really focus on like journalistic content, or at least that's the goal, right? That's my background, my educational background and my career background, right? But I don't know, I just felt like sharing my personal experience on this one because it's something that I know is not just affecting me, but I'm not seeing too many people just publicly talk about. And it is taking a toll. It's taking a toll on me. It's taking a toll on my friends and my peers. So I just felt like it needed to be talked about. And I know, yeah, like I said, this is a different video than my channel. I hope if you found it interesting, you'll subscribe, you'll stick around. We produce videos every week. Like I said, journalistic, deep dives, investigative, whatever you want to talk about. We'll always read comments and take that into consideration. But yeah, I don't know. The buy now, pay later and the prediction markets have just been tearing up my life recently. So just want to talk about it, get it out there. Hope you guys enjoyed.